All right. Should be on the air right now. And for those of you that may just be chiming in and joining or watching, this is really mostly just messing around for right now. Did an invite to a few folks that I know on Google. I'm not sure if they're going to join in or not. We will see. Most of them were part of the virtual star party, and excuse me, since some changes are happening on the virtual star party, that's going to reduce some of the frequency of that. And I actually been wanting to do this even outside of the virtual star party. So actually, before those changes were even implemented, I kind of had the idea of doing something like this. For those of you that may not know, John Kramer, and I'm trying to find the lower 1/3. Usually this is done from the virtual star party side, so I apologize. I cannot figure out how to put the lower 1/3 on here. I thought it was in the Hangout toolbox, but boy, I can't seem to find it at all. Oh, there we are. Let's try to go ahead and put in the lower 1/3. Hey, look at that. Hey, look at that. All right. Let me go ahead and add something else in there. There we go. See how that came up. That's not too bad. All right. So anyway, yeah, as I finally got the lower 1/3 rolling here, I've been doing a podcast for a while. I've also dabbled a little bit into the Google Hangouts for that podcast, as well as, well, mostly just the podcasting. And my idea was to go ahead and use Google Plus and the Hangouts to go ahead and have a hangout with a panel of amateur astronomers, just like myself. Nobody that is professional, although I would be open to going ahead and perhaps having a professional astronomer as a guest on the panel, you know, an expertise type of thing. But what we want to specifically focus on is more the hobby of astronomy, what it means to be an amateur astronomy. That means stargazing events, stargazing tips, and this mirrors my podcast as well. But right now the podcast is mostly, well, it's mostly only myself. I have done interviews before in the past on the podcast. They've gone very, very well because of some of the infrequency of putting up the podcast, just because of personal time frames. It's been too difficult really to commit to doing guests, but that I think has been changing a little bit now. And anyway, yeah, I've been doing the podcast for a while. It's on Blog Talk Radio, talk show format. I was doing that live for a very, very long time. I hoped that a lot of people liked that format, but it never really got kind of caught on too much with the live call-in type of format. So I went back to more of a traditional format. So not wanting to give up on the talking aspect, the round table, the communication, the two-way communications that type of format permits. Certainly here on Google Plus and the Hangouts, we have that capability. Virtual Star Party's been doing a great job with that ever since it came out. I've been wanting to do something different, and here we are. Hopefully going ahead and doing something different. I've invited a few folks to come on board. This is not an official kind of show, if you will, right now. This is more or less me messing around with the format of Google Hangouts and trying out some different things. And I know a couple of people have said, hey, they're going to try to get on here with me that wanted to go ahead and talk about it. I'm excited to hopefully coordinate those efforts here shortly in a future episode. So no problem if nobody else joins in. Let me get back to the purpose of this. Is it's amateur astronomers talking about amateur astronomy. Stargazing tips, observing reports, equipment talk, interesting things that are going online out there in the forums. You know, forums are great, and this certainly is never going to replace that format, obviously. But so many times there's a long forum post. If you are one of those astronomers out there that go onto forums a lot and frequent forums a lot, you'll know that there are certain topics that get a lot of traffic, a lot of thread count, a lot of pages, and it's those types of back and forth dialogue, something that really gets the interest, that I think would work best in this type of format where we are talking about it and exchanging ideas and talking live real time about it with a group of folks that share our interest. I want to find astrophotographers that maybe I should say I want to find a couple of astrophotographers, and I already have a few that are lined up that might be interested. I'm not going to divulge names at the moment, but they have been published in astronomy magazines, so they are certainly very, very avid astrophotographers to bring that perspective in, to bring that expertise into astrophotography. I've just last night lined up someone that is really an expert, if you will. He may not think he is or refer to himself that way, but he definitely is for what he's been doing with video setups and Malin cams in particular. I hope he will go ahead and join in on a future episode and be a regular for his input and his perspective on video astronomy. And of course, I dabble into everything. So astrophotography as well as astro or astronomy video right now. Also from that, I hope to bring in people that are more visual. In fact, no, I hope to bring in somebody that is strictly visual, to bring in that perspective. And from time to time, I know a couple of contacts. I'm hoping to go ahead and bring in somebody that is actually related to visual astronomy, but she's a very avid sketcher at the eyepiece, and she also has been published all the time with some great things. So that's, in a nutshell, what we hope to do. We hope to bring up and talk about topics that we find interesting, whether that is International Space Station passes and observing those and trying to capture those with a telescope. Certainly Google Plus permits us to do type of a live, streaming demo of how we might do that. And I put together a video actually not too long ago of a little bit of a walkthrough with using a Malin Cam Jr., which I had posted up, and I got some pretty good feedback. I'm just going to mess around here with the screen capture or screen sharing portion of this. This is a video animation that I captured very, very briefly. This is a series of snapshots with a imaging source monochrome camera captured with their imaging capture software called IC Capture, and you set it up to capture one image every X amount of minutes or X amount of seconds. I believe I had it capturing about once every 30 seconds. This is probably 35 minutes, I'm guessing. I did not really jot down how long each prominence was captured, but I left it running for a while, and was able to go ahead and get this finally somewhat aligned in Registax, and then I brought that AVI file into Windows Media, to Windows Movie Maker actually, to go ahead and finalize it. And you can clearly see some of the motion there in the prominences right there on the sun. So my point being is here we can share some of the video. Will we share live astronomy? You know, I got to tell you, I like live astronomy better than I like looking at pictures that are previously done. I have to admit that. I would rather go ahead and see it live rather than going ahead and seeing pictures. That was one of the things that I was kind of let down a bit from the changes at Virtual Star Party, but I understand why they're doing that, because I do think they needed a little bit of a format of structure for that type of episode, and certainly the weather and things take place on that. But creating this video, that would be great to go ahead and do a streaming session on how to do that, and sharing our observing reports for the week, etc. We have a lot of cool things coming up. I know that Stephen Ramsden with the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project is going to be doing a live Google Plus Hangout from Australia, down under. Sorry, that's a horrible Australian accent, I'm sure, but hey. Anyway, he's going to be doing that next Sunday. Is the International Observe the Sunday, and he's going to be doing that, and I may very well go ahead and do that myself. The only catch is where I am going does not have power, and I only have a Mac, not a laptop right now, so doing that from that site, plus you got the consideration of internet connectivity for that. So might wait till I get back to the home base, if you will, to go ahead and broadcast. But it'll be either here on Google Plus, or it'll definitely be on Night Skies Network, either of those two sites for a quick broadcast, because I will be going out to a site to do some live outreach up there in near Hendersonville, Tennessee, with a couple of folks that are getting together up that way as well. So leveraging this capability, I'm going to continue to do it. I'm going to continue to try to expand this format. I'm going to continue to do what I love to do, and that is talking about amateur astronomy and sharing those views live as much as possible. And that is why I've done the podcast. That is why I have a channel on Night Skies Network, and that's why we are trying to do this as well, because I think as amateur astronomers, it's going to be real interesting conversations to have about our fantastic hobby. Now, I sure hope I'm not missing anybody that is trying to jump in here. I do know that we have 3 viewers, but I don't see that any of the other folks that have gotten the invite have chimed in. Now, that's okay. I kind of expected that. This was relatively short notice. But while we have a couple of different viewers, I'm going to do practice a little bit with more of the screen sharing capability. I'm going to bring up some previous AVIs that were captured of a different prominence here. Might as well. Oops. Oh, hey there, Tom. You just popped in. Hey, nice to see you. Thanks there, Tom. Just learning the ropes. I'm not used to doing the driving, if you will. But good to see you on board. And you're more than welcome to hop on in here for any of the future things that we're going to do, by the way, to go ahead and add your input as far as astronomy topics, observing reports, what's going on out there, equipment talk, etc. But interesting, getting back to this prominence that I just put up, this one was pretty cool too. Now you'll see the video kind of getting shorter, shorter, and shorter and shorter here and jumping around a bit, that was because my tracking wasn't that good. So my align points are all centered around the prominence structure here. And I guess Registax kind of tries to weed out, if you will, all the other bad stuff and focus on that central point there for the prominence. But that's wicked cool, in my opinion, to get that type of motion and to have people be able to see that. Now, of course, if we were observing this live, no, it's not going to move this fast. That is one of the benefits of being able to see something previously recorded. I know Fraser loves to see these types of animations. He's joked about that before. But yeah, one of the reasons that you, or one of the ways you can get that, obviously, is to record over a prolonged period of time. And that was one other prominence. I think I have one more. Now, this one was pretty cool. There we go. Oh, okay, good. I was able to double click on that, and I think that is the prominence that's showing. This one looks like a fish to me. On the upper right, you can see it kind of waving there, plus a few of the other smaller spicules and filaments and stuff going through there. Very, very enjoyable from that. So let me get back here. There we go. Okay, so apparently as soon as you close your screen share window, and I'm sorry, I got two monitors here. There we go. As soon as you close the window, it goes back over to the Google+. All right. Now, one thing, Tom, I noticed that there's no way to... There should be a chat window here. Let me bring up chat. See if you can see me there, Tom, if you don't mind. But anyway, I'm getting a little bit more familiar with, because of the folks that I want to have join in do not I'm not sure they're familiar either with this Google Plus Hangout format and navigating through it. So that's one of the reasons why I am playing around with this live as it is too. Okay, so that's cameraman feature. Let me go back to chat here. Yeah, I'm not sure if Tom is seeing me in the chat. All right, well, that's okay. All right, so we are about 22 minutes. I'm not going to be too long on this today, but I just wanted to see if anybody else, a couple of the folks that I invited were going to jump in just to talk more about what we're planning here. The name of this, by the way, Nights at the Round Table, might keep that, I'm not sure. It's a play on words. Gentleman, Ahmed Jaber, I believe is his last name. He runs the wonderful Telescope Addicts Facebook page, a fantastic page on Facebook. He is going to be joining us. He just was unavailable this evening to go ahead and take part, but yeah, he kind of came up with that name as a play on Knights of the Round Table. So I'm putting in there Knights at the Round Table. I thought that was kind of funny, but we're open for any other names. I know I have a site that I'm still trying to launch, Astronomy to You, and of course my blog or my podcast, the At the Eye piece, but kind of didn't want it necessarily to be that way. More of, again, kind of a group thing, if you will, and we could all put on here, you know, where we're from, what we do, what our website is, what our blog is, what our podcast is, what our picture page is, especially if you're an astrophotographer, if you are somebody that, oh, and speaking of astrophotography, I know that there was a group of Cloudy Nights folks here on Google Plus that literally just did something a couple days, or maybe 3 or 4 days right before this airing of this show. That is very, very cool, and my hat's off to them for taking it up and doing it. They're covering actually some astrophotography processing procedures out there. And if any one of them happens to go ahead and sees this Hangout and wants to go ahead and be a part of this as well, by all means, just shoot me an email, contact me here through Google+. I'm at theipiece@gmail.com or GeminiJK@gmail.com. You can reach me either way. And looking forward to that as well. Lots of great things that we can do out there. And again, number of people, I understand if they don't come in here from the VSP, that's okay. We're probably going to wrap it up here shortly. We're at 7:24. It's actually not too bad. The format or navigating and doing this through Google Hangouts isn't too bad. I figured out where the lower thirds is, the QA, the chat area, the screen capture's pretty good. Speaking of screen capture, let me see if I can go ahead and bring up a couple of pictures that I thought were just wonderfully done by a gentleman with a Malincam Jr. This is an entry-level Astro video camera. Yes, video camera. Very, very specialized for astronomy work, and in particular specialized for live astronomy, and that's exactly why I got it. Not only to go ahead and do a review, but to also go ahead and utilize it for live astronomy. Forgive me here. I'm trying to, let me move this over here. Let me see if I can do a new capture. The snippet tool. Trying to figure out where the snippet tool is saving. There we go. Let me figure out where we were putting it. All right, it looks like it's going into the downloads. Okay, so thank you for letting me limp along through that part. Anyway, you know, during the nights of the full moon, you would think that nothing can be done. You can't see anything. You're blinded out there by the moon. A lot of astrophotographers hate that. But you know what? With an entry-level video camera, and I'm going to share out this, last night on Night Skies Network, I was so blown away by this. Here is some images. Now these are live. These aren't processed images. I want to remind everybody, if you're seeing this, this is not a processed image. You notice right up here at the top, 32 of 140 seconds. This is done in 140 seconds live. Okay, so this wasn't taken last week and we're showing it to you. This is what's so fantastic, in my opinion, about live astronomy, is that you get connected to it and it's so dynamic and it's so fluid and it's right there for you to experience. This is hydrogen alpha. This is the Swan Nebula in, where is that, Sagittarius? Yeah, Sagittarius. And the moon was extremely close to this region of the night sky there. Full moon, well, almost full moon. Full moon was actually Friday the 13th. But this was done in hydrogen alpha, and look at that fantastic, fantastic capture. Now, granted, it's in hydrogen alpha; it's not in color, but still, look at all of that nebulosity that he captured. This is with an 80 millimeter refractor. I'm just blown away by that last night. I mean, just a beautiful, beautiful image, and shows you what you can see live and what we can share live on the air with everybody with some decent equipment. Hydrogen alpha filter. This is the Lagoon Nebula in hydrogen alpha. Again, this is not a processed image. This is taken, then you adjust some sliders with the software, and it's up there on your screen. He does have a special hydrogen alpha filter. It was a specific Orion filter that was 7 nanometers, so it was only letting through that certain amount of light of hydrogen alpha. And just look at that beautiful detail in the Lagoon Nebula. Couple more here. Now, he was doing some stacking. The software that he uses does permit you to go ahead and stack a few stacks on there. But this is with a pretty modest Malincam Junior Pro camera. And certainly with the filter, this is a little bit longer exposure, 180 seconds, but this is live on the air. And this was, what was this? The Trifid in, again, hydrogen alpha as well. You know, it's not going to be published in a magazine, but that's okay. This is what's so fantastic about live. And this is exactly the type of things that I want to talk about on the show. Like, you know, give you examples and share from other amateurs that do this, their techniques, so that we can all do it the next time that we're out. And hey, maybe we even will do periodically some sharing of the night sky live and do it live at the time right there. So anyway, I was just really, really impressed by Hemi. He's on Night Skies Network, and great stuff out there. This was a couple of the things that I've done previously too. I know I mentioned I'm not going to show things previously, but I'm just killing some time basically here with that. These are some galaxies that are live. Look at that, M51. That was a live capture. That was, what, 90 seconds live capture. Again, we're not looking for magazine quality publication, you know, printing images. This is live video. And there's a big difference. A couple of other galaxies out there. And another great guy, Don, he does superb stuff. Anyway, all right, well, that's it. I'm actually feeling pretty comfortable now with the Google Plus Hangouts. I'm looking forward to getting the other folks in here once they see this. Hopefully they encourage themselves to give me a contact sometime. Again, you know, you can be a visual observer. You can be an avid astrophotographer. You can be a video guy. You can be an equipment junkie. You know, that loves just talking about telescopes, eyepieces, mounts, and more. That's why I created the podcast, and frankly, this is why I want to try and do this here, to have more of a roundtable and exchange of information with other folks. I really think that it can be something really, really cool. Reminder, don't forget, next week, International Sunday is going to be June 22nd, a worldwide event. Stephen Ramsden, rather, with the Charlie Bates Solar Astronomy Project, is going to be broadcasting the sun live from Australia. I'm going to try to do some things online as well, and those channels are, I'm sure there's going to be a number of people too popping onto Night Skies Network, weather permitting. So, Tom, if you're still with me, hey, thanks for dropping in. Sorry if I missed anything else from you here. See the Q&A. There you go. Just checking out how to drive a comment. Okay. Calendar page just popped in. All right, so very good. Wish they had a little bit of a timestamp with the questions Q&A. It's kind of hard to determine, but anyhow, be in touch with me if you are interested in being part of this endeavor. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you and talk to you next time.